Everyone mocked the obese black waitress, until a Korean Mafia boss fell for her voice. The ballroom went silent when the obese black waitress whispered, "Please, don't fire me. My grandmother needs this job more than I need my pride." The hotel manager looked down at her bleeding hand and said, "Then, maybe your pride should have taught you how to hold a tray." A woman in a silver gown laughed. "Look at her. She's on her knees like she belongs there." Jasmine Carter froze. Broken glass surrounded her. Champagne soaked the front of her black uniform. Blood slipped from the small cut on her thumb, but she did not cry, not yet. She only looked up and said, "You can laugh at me, Mom, but please don't make me lose this job." The woman smiled. "Women like you should not be seen at events like this." Jasmine swallowed. "Women like me?" "Yes," the woman said. "Big, dark, poor, desperate." The laughter started again, soft at first, then louder, then crueler. Jasmine bent down to pick up another piece of glass, but before her fingers touched it, a man's voice came from the darkest corner of the ballroom. "Don't touch that." Everyone turned. Jae-Hyun Park stood slowly. No one had noticed him watching. No one had seen the way his eyes changed the moment Jasmine spoke. He had ignored models all night. He had ignored heiresses. He had ignored women who came to that charity gala wearing diamonds just to catch his attention. But this waitress, this woman everyone treated like she was nothing. Her voice had entered him like a prayer he did not know he needed. The rich woman's smile disappeared. "Chairman Park," she said quickly, "I was only joking." Jae-Hyun walked toward her, one step, then another. The room became colder with every step he took. He stopped beside Jasmine and looked at the woman in the silver gown. "Say it again." The woman blinked. "What? What you said about her?" Her lips trembled. "I didn't mean anything by it." Jae-Hyun looked down at Jasmine's bleeding hand. Then he looked at the hotel manager. "She is bleeding." No one answered. "She is on the floor cleaning broken glass while everyone in this room laughs." The manager bowed immediately. "Chairman Park, I apologize. I will remove her from the event at once." Jasmine's eyes widened. "No, sir. Please, I need this job." Jae-Hyun turned to her, and the moment she spoke again, his entire body went still. That voice, soft, tired, still gentle after humiliation, still human after cruelty. For the first time in years, the most dangerous man in Seoul forgot the room around him. He crouched in front of her. The ballroom gasped. Jasmine stared at him, confused and afraid. "Sir, please stand. People are watching." Jae-Hyun removed a white handkerchief from his pocket and wrapped it around her bleeding thumb. "Let them watch," Jasmine whispered. "Why are you helping me?" Jae-Hyun looked into her eyes. "Because your voice is the first honest thing I have heard tonight." The room did not move. Nobody breathed. The Mafia boss who made politicians bow was kneeling before a waitress everyone had mocked. And Jasmine Carter had no idea that the moment she begged not to lose her job, she had already gained the protection of a man the entire city feared. By sunrise, every person who laughed at her would know her name. And by the end of the week, the woman they called ugly, useless, and invisible would become the only woman Jae-Hyun Park was willing to burn Seoul to protect. The Grand Seraph Hotel was the kind of place where ordinary people lowered their voices without knowing why. Everything inside it was designed to remind guests that money had a language. Gold-framed mirrors, white marble floors, crystal chandeliers, private elevators for people whose names appeared in newspapers. That night, the hotel hosted one of Seoul's most exclusive charity galas. Politicians smiled for cameras near the entrance. Businessmen shook hands like they were making promises and breaking them at the same time. Women in designer gowns leaned close to each other, whispering behind champagne glasses, and moving quietly between them all was Jasmine Carter. She carried a silver tray with both hands. Her shoes hurt, her back ached. Her uniform was too tight around her waist because the staffing agency had given her the wrong size and told her to manage it. So she managed it. She always did. Jasmine was 29 years old. A black American woman from Atlanta who had moved to Seoul 2 years earlier with her grandmother, after a family friend promised steady work and cheaper medical care. The promise had only been half true. There was work, but it was never steady. There was medical care, but it was never cheap enough. So Jasmine worked anywhere that would hire her. A breakfast shift at a small restaurant in Itaewon. Evening shifts through a temporary event agency. weekend cleaning jobs when her grandmother's prescriptions ran low. She had learned how to smile while exhausted, how to apologize even when she had done nothing wrong, how to make herself smaller in rooms where people already believed she took up too much space. But that night, every whisper felt sharper than usual. At table 12, a young woman stared at Jasmine's body and murmured, "Why would they send her to serve at a luxury event?" Her friend laughed softly. Maybe the real staff were unavailable. Jasmine heard them. She kept walking. At table 7, a man asked for champagne without looking at her face. When she served him, he said, "You speak Korean?" "Yes, sir." His eyes moved slowly over her. Interesting. Not kind, not curious, just interested in the way people looked at something unusual behind glass. Jasmine stepped away before he could say more. Near the dessert table, a staff supervisor named Mr. Han snapped his fingers. "Jasmine." She hurried over. "Yes, sir." He lowered his voice. "Smile more. Guests are complaining that you look uncomfortable." Jasmine looked at the guests, laughing at her from across the room, then back at him. "I am smiling, sir." "Then smile better." She nodded. "Yes, sir. And keep your shoulders straight. This is not a street restaurant." That one hurt, but she swallowed it. Because rent was due. Because her grandmother's medication was almost finished. Because pride did not pay hospital bills. She turned to leave. Mr. Han stopped her again. "And Jasmine?" "Yes, sir. Do not make yourself noticeable tonight." For a moment she almost laughed, not because it was funny, because it was impossible. People noticed her even when she wanted to disappear. They noticed her skin. They noticed her body. They noticed her accent. They noticed the way she did not fit into their clean, expensive picture of beauty. But they never noticed her pain. So Jasmine only said, "I understand." Across the ballroom, hidden partly by shadow, Jae-Hyun Park watched the event with the empty patience of a man who had already decided everyone in the room was lying. He had arrived in silence. 3 black SUVs, 6 bodyguards, no announcement. He did not need one. The moment he entered, the room adjusted itself around him. Conversations lowered. Men straightened their jackets. Women touched their hair. The hotel owner rushed forward and bowed as if greeting royalty. But Jae-Hyun barely nodded. He hated events like this, charity galas, public smiles, rich people paying to feel generous for one evening while stepping over suffering the next morning. He stood near the back of the ballroom with his right-hand man, CO Dae-sik, beside him. Dae-sik spoke quietly. "Minister Choi is waiting for you near the south balcony. Let him wait. The Yoon family is also here." "I saw. Yoon Se-ra has been looking at you all night." Jae-Hyun did not turn. "That is her problem." Dae-sik said nothing. He had worked for Jae-Hyun for 12 years, long enough to know that his boss did not like being watched, long enough to know that women had tried every possible way to reach him. Beauty, tears, flattery, desperation, none of it worked. Jae-Hyun Park was 34 years old, the chairman of Park Holdings and the hidden ruler of one of the most feared syndicates in South Korea. In public, he owned hotels, shipping companies, security firms, clubs, restaurants, and real estate. In private, men lowered their eyes when his name was spoken. He did not shout. He did not threaten loudly. He did not waste anger. That was why people feared him. Because when Jae-Hyun Park decided something, the world moved. But love had never moved him. Not once. His mother hated that. Earlier that evening, before he left his penthouse, Park Hae-rin had stood in front of him with a glass of wine in her hand and disappointment in her eyes. "You are 34, she said. "I am aware. Our family needs an heir. Our family has enough problems. It needs continuity. It needs loyalty. It needs a wife beside you." Jae-Hyun adjusted his cufflink and said, "A wife is not furniture." His mother's expression hardened. "Do not play clever with me. I learned from you, Jae-Hyun." He looked at her then, really looked, and for 1 second, the air between them carried every ghost they never spoke about. His father's betrayal, his mother's silence, the woman who had nearly destroyed the Park family by selling secrets to their enemies. The blood on the floors when Jae-Hyun was only 17, the lesson his father taught him without meaning to. Never love anyone your enemies can use. Jae-Hyun picked up his coat. "I will attend the gala. I will speak to the minister. I will leave." "And Yoon Se-ra?" "No, you have not even heard my point. I have heard it every week for 6 months. She is beautiful, educated, connected. She is cruel. She is useful. Jae-Hyun's voice went cold. So is a knife. I do not marry knives. His mother did not smile. One day your loneliness will cost you. Jae-Hyun walked toward the door. My loneliness is the only thing that has never betrayed me. Now, standing inside the Grand Seraph ballroom, he remembered those words and believed them until Jasmine's voice crossed the room. At first, he did not see what happened. He heard glass break, a sharp crash. The orchestra stumbled for half a second before continuing. Then laughter spread through the guests. Dae-sik looked toward the sound. Staff accident. Jae-Hyun would normally have ignored it. Then he heard her. Please don't fire me. My grandmother needs this job more than I need my pride. His eyes shifted. That voice, not loud, not dramatic, but something in it cut through the room. It was the kind of voice that had carried too much pain and still refused to become bitter. Jae-Hyun slowly turned. He saw Jasmine on her knees. He saw the broken glass. He saw the champagne soaking her uniform. He saw Yoon Se-ra smiling down at her like humiliation was entertainment. And then he saw Jasmine's hand bleeding. Something moved inside him, small, sharp, unwanted. Dae-sik noticed immediately. Boss? Jae-Hyun did not answer. His eyes stayed on Jasmine. Yoon Se-ra lifted her glass and said, Women like you should not be seen at events like this. Jasmine's voice came again. Women like me? Yes, big, dark, poor, desperate. The room laughed. Jae-Hyun's face became unreadable. Dae-sik took one quiet step back. He knew that expression. It was the expression Jae-Hyun wore before someone powerful discovered they were not powerful enough. Jasmine lowered her head and reached toward another piece of glass. That was when Jae-Hyun spoke. Don't touch that. His voice was not loud. It did not need to be. The ballroom heard it because fear had trained everyone to listen for him. Yoon Se-ra turned first. Her smile died. Chairman Park. Mr. Han went pale. The guests stopped laughing. Jasmine did not understand why at first. She only knew that the air had changed. The cruel warmth of mockery vanished. Something colder entered the room. She looked up slowly. A man in a black suit was walking toward her. Tall, controlled, dangerous without trying. Every person stepped out of his way. Jasmine had seen powerful men before. Men who used money like perfume. Men who raised their voices because they needed everyone to believe they mattered. But this man was different. He did not demand attention. He possessed it. Jae-Hyun stopped in front of Yoon Se-ra. Say it again. Se-ra blinked. Chairman Park, it was nothing. What you said about her. I was joking. No, you were comfortable. The words struck the room. Se-ra's father, Chairman Yoon, moved quickly from a nearby table. Chairman Park, he said, laughing nervously. My daughter is young. Please forgive her childish mouth. Jae-Hyun did not look at him. Then teach her before someone else does. Chairman Yoon's smile disappeared. Sarah's face flushed with embarrassment. Jae-Hyun turned to Mr. Han, and you. Mr. Han bowed so quickly his glasses slid down his nose. Yes, Chairman Park. She is injured. Yes, sir. I will send her to the kitchen immediately. Jasmine's heart dropped. No, please. I can continue working. Jae-Hyun turned to her. The moment her voice touched him again, the anger in his face shifted into something else. Not softness exactly. Jae-Hyun did not know how to be soft, but his eyes changed, as if the sound had reached him before he could defend himself. Jasmine lowered her gaze. I'm sorry, sir. I did not mean to interrupt. Look at me. She hesitated. Then she looked up. For 1 second, neither of them spoke. The ballroom waited. Jasmine saw dark eyes that seemed to carry violence, discipline, and exhaustion all at once. Jae-Hyun saw a woman who had been humiliated in front of hundreds of people and was still more worried about losing her job than about her own blood. He crouched in front of her. A collective gasp moved through the room. Dae-sik stared. Chairman Yoon stared. Se-ra stared as if reality had betrayed her. Jasmine whispered, Sir, please, you should not kneel here. Why? Because everyone is watching. Jae-Hyun removed a white handkerchief from his pocket. Good. He reached for her hand. Jasmine pulled back slightly. I can do it. Your hand is shaking. It's just a cut. No. His voice lowered. It is a cut. They laughed at. That silenced her. He wrapped the handkerchief around her thumb with surprising care. His fingers were steady, warm. The gesture was so gentle that it frightened her more than his power. Cruelty, she understood. Kindness from dangerous men had a price. She looked at him and asked, Why are you helping me? Jae-Hyun tied the knot slowly. Because your voice is the first honest thing I have heard tonight. Jasmine did not know what to say. Nobody did. Then Sarah forced a laugh. Chairman Park, surely you are not letting a waitress ruin the evening. Jae-Hyun stood. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. She did not ruin it. He turned to face the guests. You did. Sarah's mouth opened. No sound came out. Jae-Hyun looked at Mr. Han. What is her name? The manager swallowed. Jasmine Carter, sir. Jae-Hyun repeated it quietly. Jasmine Carter. Her name sounded different in his voice, like a promise, like a warning. He looked back at the manager. How much is she being paid tonight, Mr. Han hesitated. 200,000 won. Pay her 2 million. Jasmine's eyes widened. No. Everyone looked at her, even Jae-Hyun. She stood slowly, holding the handkerchief around her injured thumb. No, sir, thank you, but no. Day 6's eyes narrowed slightly. No one refused Jae-Hyun Park in public. Jae-Hyun studied her. You need the money. Jasmine's cheeks warmed. That does not mean I should take money I did not earn. You earned it when you survived this room. Her throat tightened. For one dangerous second, she almost accepted. Her grandmother's medicine flashed through her mind, the unpaid hospital bill, the rent notice on the kitchen table. But accepting that money in front of those people would feel like being bought, like her pain had become a performance and he had paid for the best seat. She shook her head. Please pay me only what was agreed. Jae-Hyun stared at her. Then something almost impossible happened. The corner of his mouth moved, not quite a smile, but close enough to make Dae-Sik blink. You are stubborn. Jasmine looked down. I am tired. That is not the same thing. Sometimes it is. The words landed quietly. Jae-Hyun did not respond at once. He had heard men beg. He had heard women flatter. He had heard enemies curse his name with blood in their mouths. But this woman spoke simple truths like she had no energy left for lies. And somehow, each truth entered him. Jae-Hyun turned to Mr. Han. She will be paid her agreed amount tonight, in full. She will not be fired. She will receive medical treatment for her hand. And she will sit for the rest of the event. Mr. Han bowed. Yes, Chairman Park. Jasmine stepped forward. I cannot sit while everyone else works. Jae-Hyun looked at her. Why? Because they will hate me. He turned his head slightly toward the other staff. Several looked away. He understood immediately. Power could protect a person from enemies, but sometimes protection created new ones. He looked back at Jasmine. Then what do you want? The question surprised her. What do I want? Yes. No one had asked her that all night. Maybe not all month. She looked at the broken glass, then at her injured thumb, then at the staff corridor. I want to clean my hand, finish my shift, get paid, and go home. Jae-Hyun watched her carefully. That is all? That is enough? No. It was not enough. He knew it. She knew it. But she said it like a woman who had trained herself not to ask life for too much because disappointment was expensive. Jae-Hyun gave a small nod. Then finish your shift. Mr. Han looked horrified, but Chairman Park, her hand. She can decide what she can do. Jasmine stared at him. That mattered. More than the money, more than the defense, more than the public apology she had not even asked for. He gave the decision back to her. For a woman who had spent years being moved around by other people's needs, that small respect felt almost unbearable. She swallowed. Thank you. Jae-Hyun leaned closer. Not enough for scandal. Only enough for her to hear. If anyone touches you again tonight, say my name. Jasmine's breath caught. I don't know you. No. His eyes held hers, but they do. Then he stepped away. The room seemed to breathe again only after he returned to the shadowed corner. But nothing returned to normal. Not for Jasmine, not for the guests, not for Jae-Hyun. For the rest of the evening, Jasmine worked with a bandaged thumb and a heart that refused to settle. No one laughed at her again. No one bumped into her. No one snapped their fingers. People who had ignored her now said please and thank you with nervous politeness. It should have felt good. Instead, it felt strange. Borrowed respect, fear-wearing manners. At one table, an older woman accepted a glass of water and whispered, "Lucky girl." Jasmine looked at her. "Excuse me." The woman smiled thinly. Men like Chairman Park do not notice ordinary women. Enjoy it while it lasts. Jasmine walked away without answering enjoy it. As if being noticed by a dangerous man was a prize. As if she had not spent the entire night trying to disappear. Near midnight, the gala began to end. Guests gathered coats, Cameras flashed near the entrance. Politicians gave final handshakes. Sarah stood beside her father, face tight with humiliation. Her eyes followed Jasmine across the room, not with jealousy, with anger. Jasmine felt it. She had felt that kind of stare before. The stare of someone who believed your existence had insulted them. As Jasmine carried empty glasses toward the service doors, Sarah stepped into her path. This time, no one else was close enough to hear. Sarah smiled. You must feel special. Jasmine's fingers tightened around the tray. I'm trying to work. He will forget your face by morning. Jasmine said nothing. Sarah leaned closer. Men like him do not love women like you. They use moments like this to prove they are powerful. Today, you are his charity. Tomorrow, you are nobody again. Jasmine looked at her then, really looked. The words hurt. Not because Sarah said them, but because a quiet part of Jasmine feared they were true. Still, she kept her voice calm. Then tomorrow I will be what I was yesterday. Sarah's eyes narrowed. And what is that? Jasmine lifted her chin, still standing. For a second, Sarah had no answer. Then she stepped aside. Jasmine walked past her, her hands steady until she reached the staff corridor. Only then did she lean against the wall and close her eyes. A breath left her, then another. She told herself she was fine. She was good at that. Fine was a coat she wore in every season. But her chest hurt. Her feet hurt. Her thumb throbbed. And somewhere beneath all of that was the memory of Jae-Hyun Park kneeling in front of her while the whole ballroom watched. She looked at the handkerchief wrapped around her thumb. White cotton. Expensive. Now stained with her blood. She should throw it away. She did not. At the far end of the corridor, Dae-sik stepped out from a side door. Jasmine startled. He bowed politely. Miss Carter. She held the tray closer. Do you need something? My boss asked me to make sure you had a safe way home. Jasmine stiffened. I take the bus. At this hour, the last bus will be crowded. I always take the bus. Dae-sik studied her for a moment. Unlike Jae-Hyun, his face was easier to read. Not warm, but not cruel either. Chairman Park will not force you. That is comforting. Dae-sik almost smiled. He has asked me to wait until you leave the building. Nothing more. Jasmine looked toward the ballroom. Does he always give orders about strangers? No. The answer came too quickly. Jasmine looked back at him. Dae-sik added, that is why tonight is unusual. She did not know what to do with that. Tell him thank you, she said. I will, and tell him I don't need a car. I will tell him you said that. That is not the same thing, no. Dae-sik bowed again and stepped aside. Jasmine watched him go, uneasy. By the time she finished her shift, it was almost 1 in the morning. The hotel staff changed back into their normal clothes in a small basement locker room. 2 women whispered when Jasmine entered. They stopped immediately. Jasmine pretended not to notice. She removed her apron, folded it, and checked her phone. 3 missed calls from her grandmother. Her heart jumped. She called back immediately. The phone rang twice. Then a tired voice answered. Baby, Grandma, are you okay? Evelyn Carter coughed softly. I'm fine. You called 3 times. I wanted to know if you ate. Jasmine closed her eyes. Only her grandmother would call 3 times from a sickbed to ask if someone else had eaten. I had some bread during break. That is not food. Jasmine. I'm coming home now. Did the event go well? Jasmine looked down at the handkerchief around her thumb. It was strange. Strange good or strange bad, she thought of laughter. Blood. Sarah's eyes, Jae-Hyun's voice, both. Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Did someone hurt you? Jasmine tried to answer quickly. No. But her grandmother heard the small delay. Jasmine, it was just a cut. I dropped some glasses. You dropped them, or someone made you drop them. Jasmine smiled sadly. You know me too well. I raised you. It's fine. A man helped me. A man? Grandma, what man? Nobody. Men who are nobody do not make your voice change. Jasmine opened her locker and took her coat. I'll tell you when I get home. That means he is either handsome or trouble. Jasmine paused, then whispered, maybe both. Evelyn made a soft sound. Oh, Lord. Jasmine laughed despite herself. I'll be home soon. She ended the call and placed the phone in her coat pocket. When she stepped outside the hotel through the staff exit, cold night air touched her face. The street behind the hotel was quieter than the grand entrance. No red carpet, no cameras. Just delivery trucks, cigarette smoke from tired workers, and wet pavement shining beneath streetlights. Jasmine started toward the bus stop. A black SUV waited near the curb. Her steps slowed. Dae-sik stood beside it, not blocking her, just waiting. Jasmine sighed. You said he would not force me. He will not, then why are you here? To make sure no one else does. That answer unsettled her. Did something happen? Dae-sik looked toward the hotel door, then back at her. People with injured pride are often more dangerous than people with injured hands. Jasmine understood. Sarah, Chairman Yoon, the rich guests. She tightened her coat around herself. I can take care of myself. I believe you. Do you? Yes, but tonight you should not have to. The words were too gentle. She did not expect them from a man like him. Before she could answer, the rear window of the SUV lowered. Jae-Hyun sat inside, half hidden in shadow. Their eyes met. Jasmine's breath caught. He had waited. Not sent a car, not sent a message. Waited. Jae-Hyun spoke through the open window. I will not ask twice. Jasmine lifted an eyebrow. That sounds exactly like something a man says before asking twice. Dae-sik looked away. Jae-Hyun's face did not change, but his eyes shifted, almost amused. Do you want to ride home? No. Good night, Jasmine. That was it. No argument, no command, no pressure. The window began to rise. Jasmine stood there, confused by the absence of force. Then she heard footsteps behind her. 2 hotel workers came out laughing. One of them lowered his voice, but not enough. That's her. The waitress Chairman Park touched. Maybe she has some hidden skill. They laughed. Jasmine felt heat crawl up her neck. The SUV window stopped halfway. Jae-Hyun heard it too.
The laughter.
As soon as the workers noticed him looking, they bowed quickly and hurried away. Jasmine hated how badly she wanted to get into that car. Not because of comfort, because for one night, she wanted the world to stop touching her with dirty hands. She looked at the bus stop in the distance, then at the SUV, then at Jae-Hyun. One ride, she said. The door opened immediately. She climbed into the back seat and sat as close to the opposite door as possible. Jae-Hyun noticed. He said nothing. The car began to move. For the first few minutes, only the sound of the road filled the space. Jasmine stared out the window. Seoul passed by in streaks of neon and rain. Jae-Hyun watched her reflection. Finally, she said, You waited until my shift ended. Yes. Why? To see if you would accept the ride. And if I didn't, then my driver would have followed the bus. Jasmine turned to him. That is not normal. No, at least you admit it. I rarely lie. That must be convenient. It creates different problems. She looked at him carefully. You are very strange, Mr. Park. Jae-Hyun. What? My name is Jae-Hyun. I know your name. Use it. That would be inappropriate. Why? Because I do not know you. You are in my car. That was a mistake I am still evaluating. For 1 second, silence held. Then Jae-Hyun made a sound so quiet Jasmine almost missed it. A laugh, not full, not free, but real enough to surprise both of them. Dae-sik looked at the road like his life depended on not reacting. Jasmine stared. Did you just laugh? No. You did. You imagined it. I did not. Jae-Hyun looked out his own window. Then forget it. A small smile touched Jasmine's mouth before she could stop it. The car felt less suffocating after that. Not safe, never safe, but less like a cage. Jae-Hyun spoke again. Your grandmother is ill. The smile vanished. Jasmine's body went still. How do you know that? You said it in the ballroom. Her shoulders relaxed a little. Only a little. Yes. What does she need? That is not your business. I know. Then why ask? Because I want to know. Jasmine turned back to the window. She has chronic lung disease. Some days are okay. Some days are not. Tonight she called me 3 times to ask if I ate, while she is the one who could barely breathe. Her voice softened when she spoke of Evelyn. Jae-Hyun heard it. There was love there. Deep, tired, unprotected. He did not understand how anyone could carry that kind of love without fear. Or maybe he understood too well. Is there surgery? He asked. Jasmine looked at him sharply. You ask a lot of questions. You answer fewer than I ask, because I have sense. This time, his almost smile returned. She looked away quickly, annoyed at herself for noticing. Yes, she said after a while, there may be surgery. It is expensive. How expensive? That is not a number. It is the only number that matters. Jae-Hyun did not respond, but something settled in his eyes. A decision. Jasmine saw it and immediately felt uneasy. No, he looked at her. I did not say anything. You were thinking something rich. Dae-sik coughed once from the front seat. Jae-Hyun looked at him. Dae-sik became silent. Jasmine continued. I don't want money from you. You refused already. And I am refusing again in case your ears are expensive but decorative. Jae-Hyun nearly coughed again. Jae-Hyun turned his head toward her. Most people would have lowered their eyes after speaking to him like that. Jasmine did not. She looked nervous, but she did not look away. He found that more compelling than beauty. I hear you, he said. Good. I do not agree. That is not the problem. It may become mine. The car grew quiet. Jasmine did not know what that meant. Worse, she was afraid she did. A few minutes later, the SUV stopped outside a small apartment building on a narrow street. The building was old, not terrible, but tired. A flickering light hung above the entrance. Jasmine reached for the door handle. Thank you for the ride. Jae-Hyun looked at the building. You live here? Her face froze. There it was, that tone, not disgust, but concern wrapped in judgment. She turned slowly. Yes. Is that a problem? No, it sounded like one. It is not safe. Most affordable places are not. He looked at her. She held his gaze. No apology. Just truth. Jae-Hyun nodded once. You are right. That surprised her. He stepped out first and walked around to open her door. Jasmine got out before he could offer his hand. I can open a car door. I noticed. She looked toward the entrance. A curtain moved in the window of the first-floor apartment. Someone was watching. Wonderful. By morning, the whole building would have questions. Jasmine turned back to Jae-Hyun. This is where the ride ends. Yes. And you do not come upstairs. I was not going to. Good. A pause. Then he said, May I ask one more question? No. He asked anyway. Why did you refuse the money? Jasmine looked tired again. Not angry. Just tired. Because the world already treats women like me like everything we receive must be charity. A smile. A job. Respect. Love. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror and wonder if I sold another piece of my dignity just to survive. Jae-Hyun did not speak. Her voice was quiet, but every word stayed. Jasmine added, Good night, Jae-Hyun. This time she used his name, softly, naturally. Then she turned and walked into the building. Jae-Hyun remained on the sidewalk long after the entrance door closed. Jae-Hyun stood beside the SUV. Boss, Jae-Hyun looked up at the third-floor window. A light came on. A shadow moved behind the curtain. Jasmine was home. She said no money, Jae-Hyun said. Yes, she meant it, yes. Find another way. Jae-Hyun paused. To help her? Jae-Hyun's eyes stayed on the window. To make her life less heavy. Jae-Hyun chose his next words carefully. Boss, a woman like her will not be easy to protect. Jae-Hyun finally looked at him. Good, Jae-Hyun frowned. Good, if she were easy to protect, someone would have done it already. The next morning, Jasmine woke to the sound of her grandmother coughing. She was out of bed before her eyes fully opened. Grandma, Evelyn Carter sat on the edge of the sofa bed in the living room, one hand pressed against her chest. Her silver hair was wrapped in a blue scarf. Her face was thinner than Jasmine liked, too thin, but her eyes were still bright with stubborn love. I'm all right, baby. No, you're not. I said I'm all right. That means I have decided to be. That is not how lungs work. Evelyn gave her a weak smile. Mine are old. They listen to me sometimes. Jasmine sat beside her and rubbed her back gently. The apartment was small. One bedroom for Jasmine. One living room where Evelyn slept because the bedroom stairs in their old building had become too much for her. A tiny kitchen, a bathroom with unreliable hot water, a window that whistled when the wind came through. But Evelyn had made it a home. A crocheted blanket over the sofa, a framed photo of Jasmine's parents on the shelf, a small cross beside a vase of plastic flowers, a radio that played old soul music on Sunday mornings. Jasmine reached for the medicine bottle on the side table. Only 3 pills left. Her stomach tightened. Evelyn noticed. Don't look at that bottle like it insulted you. I'll pick up more after work. With what money? Jasmine gave her a look. Evelyn gave it back. The older woman had raised her too well to be fooled by brave faces. I got paid last night, Jasmine said. Good, and I have another shift today. Bad. Grandma, you work too much. You breathe too little. Evelyn pointed at her. Do not use my illness to win arguments. I learned from the best. Evelyn smiled, then coughed again. Jasmine's smile faded. She helped her drink water. For a while, neither spoke. Then Evelyn looked at the bandage on Jasmine's thumb. That man helped you. Jasmine looked down. Yes, the handsome trouble? Jasmine sighed. I should never tell you anything. You did not tell me. Your face did. He is not trouble. Evelyn raised one eyebrow. Jasmine corrected herself. He is probably trouble. Probably? Definitely. And yet you are thinking about him. I'm thinking about the whole night. Was he kind? Jasmine hesitated. Yes. Was he respectful? Yes. Mostly. Mostly means rich. Jasmine laughed, offered money. I refused. Evelyn nodded. Good. Then she added, unless we need it. Grandma, I am old, not foolish. Jasmine stood and went to the kitchen. I'll make tea. Evelyn watched her closely. What is his name? Jasmine turned on the kettle. Jae-Hyun Park. The silence behind her changed. Jasmine turned. Evelyn's face had gone serious. You said Park? Yes, Jasmine. What? Evelyn lowered her voice. That is not a man you casually meet. Jasmine's stomach tightened. You know him? I know the name. Everyone who has lived in Seoul long enough knows the name. What do they say? Evelyn looked toward the window. That his family smiles in public and bleeds in private. Jasmine said nothing. Evelyn continued. Powerful men do not enter poor women's lives quietly, baby. Even when they mean well, they bring storms behind them. Jasmine thought of Jae-Hyun standing beside the SUV. Find another way. She had not heard him say it, but somewhere deep down, she already felt it. Something had started, and she did not know how to stop it. Across the city, on the top floor of Park Tower, Jae-Hyun stood before a glass wall overlooking Seoul. The city stretched beneath him. Gray morning, steel buildings, wet streets, millions of people moving through lives he could destroy or protect with a phone call. Behind him, Jae-Sik placed a black folder on the desk. Jasmine Carter, he said. Jae-Hyun turned. The folder weighted between them, thin, too thin for a life that had clearly carried so much. He opened it. Name: Jasmine Denise Carter, age 29, born in Atlanta, Georgia. Moved to Seoul 2 years ago with grandmother, Evelyn Carter. Parents deceased. No criminal record, no spouse, no boyfriend, 2 active jobs, 1 temporary staffing contract, rent overdue by 12 days, hospital balance unpaid, medication costs increasing, recommended surgery for Evelyn Carter, deposit required soon. Jae-Hyun stared at the hospital amount. It was nothing. Less than the cost of the wine served at last night's gala. Less than 1 bracelet on Yoon Se-ra's wrist. Less than what men in his world lost gambling and forgot by morning. But for Jasmine, it was a wall high enough to crush her. Jae-Sik watched him. Should I arrange payment quietly? Jae-Hyun closed the folder. No. Jae-Sik blinked. No? She will find out. We can hide it. She will still feel it. Jae-Sik understood. That was new. Jae-Hyun Park rarely cared how help felt. He cared whether it worked. What do you want to do? Jae-Sik asked. Jae-Hyun looked back out at the city. Who owns the restaurant where she works? Jae-Sik paused. A woman named Kim Sun-young, small family business, debt issues, behind on supplier payments. Settle them. Under whose name? Not mine. And the apartment building? Find the owner. Jae-Sik hesitated. Boss. Jae-Hyun turned. Jae-Sik chose honesty. This is already becoming more than a ride home. Jae-Hyun said nothing. Jae-Sik continued. Last night, the whole ballroom saw you kneel before her. The Yoon family is insulted. Your mother will hear about this before lunch. If you keep moving pieces around Jasmine Carter, people will notice. Jae-Hyun's eyes returned to the folder. There was a small ID photo attached to the first page. Jasmine was not smiling. Her face looked tired, guarded, soft in places the world had tried to harden. I noticed her first, Jae-Hyun said. Jae-Sik went still. That was not a strategy. That was confession. Jae-Hyun closed the folder again. Cancel my morning meetings. All of them? Yes. May I ask why? Jae-Hyun picked up his coat. I am hungry. Jae-Sik knew better than to ask for what. 30 minutes later, 3 black SUVs stopped outside a small restaurant in Itaewon. Inside, Jasmine Carter was tying her apron for another shift. She had no idea the most dangerous man in Seoul had just chosen her small, tired world as the only place he wanted to be. The restaurant was called Kim's Table. It had 6 wooden tables, 1 cracked front window, and a kitchen so small that 2 cooks could not turn around at the same time without arguing. Jasmine liked it, not because the job was easy. It was not. Lunch rushes were brutal. Customers could be rude. Her feet hurt before noon, but Mrs. Kim, the owner, was fair. She paid on time when she could. She let Jasmine take leftover soup home for Evelyn. And when customers mocked Jasmine's Korean, Mrs. Kim often shouted from the kitchen, Her Korean is better than your manners. That morning, Jasmine was wiping table 4 when the first black SUV pulled up outside. Then the second, then the third. The restaurant went quiet. A man near the window lowered his spoon. Mrs. Kim stepped out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. What is this? Jasmine looked through the glass. Her heart sank. No. Mrs. Kim turned. You know them? Jasmine did not answer. The door opened. The tiny bell above the door rang cheerfully, completely unaware of the terror it had just announced. Every customer froze. Jasmine closed her eyes for 1 second. When she opened them, Jae-Hyun was looking directly at her, not at Mrs. Kim, not at the menu, her. Mrs. Kim hurried forward and bowed. Chairman Park, welcome. We are honored. Please sit anywhere. Jae-Hyun's eyes stayed on Jasmine. Table for 1. Mrs. Kim glanced wildly at Jasmine. Jasmine, please serve Chairman Park. Jasmine gripped the cloth in her hand. Of course this was happening. She walked toward him slowly. Good morning, sir. Jae-Hyun heard her voice and felt the noise inside him quiet again. Just like last night, just like he had feared. He gave a small nod. Good morning, Jasmine. Mrs. Kim stared. Customers stared. Dae-sik stared at the floor. Jasmine forced herself to move. This way, please. She led to a small table near the window, the same table where delivery workers usually sat because it was closest to the draft. Jae-Hyun sat without complaint. Jasmine handed him a menu. Our lunch special is soybean stew with rice and side dishes. What do you recommend? She paused. The soybean stew. Why? It tastes like something someone makes when they care whether you survive the day. The words came out before she could stop them. She stiffened. I'm sorry, that was strange. Jae-Hyun looked at her. No, it was honest. There was that word again, honest. As if her voice carried something he kept searching for. She looked down at her notepad. Soybean stew then? Yes. Tea? Anything else? Jae-Hyun leaned back slightly. What time do you finish work? The restaurant went so silent that Jasmine could hear oil crackling in the kitchen. She slowly lifted her eyes. That is not on the menu. Dae-sik looked away again. Jae-Hyun's expression did not change. No, then I cannot help you with that order. For 1 second, Jasmine thought she had gone too far. Then Jae-Hyun's mouth moved, almost a smile again. Mrs. Kim nearly dropped the towel. Jae-Hyun said, Then bring the stew. Jasmine nodded. Good choice. She turned and walked quickly into the kitchen. Mrs. Kim followed her instantly. What is going on? Nothing. Do not lie in my kitchen. Jasmine lowered her voice. He was at the event last night. The event where you cut your hand? Yes. Mrs. Kim looked through the small kitchen window at Jae-Hyun. He sat still, surrounded by men who looked like they had never laughed in their lives. Mrs. Kim whispered, Jasmine, that man is not a normal chairman. I know. No, you do not know. There are stories about the Park family. My grandmother said the same thing. Listen to her. I am trying. Try harder. Jasmine picked up the tray with his tea. I'm just serving food. Mrs. Kim's face softened. Baby, men like that do not come to tiny restaurants for food. Jasmine knew that. And still, when she carried the tea back to his table, her pulse moved too fast. She placed the cup in front of him. Careful, it's hot. Jae-Hyun looked at the steam rising between them. Are you afraid of me? Jasmine froze. The question was too direct, too quiet, too impossible to answer politely. She looked around the restaurant. Everyone pretended not to listen. Everyone was listening. Finally, she said, I'm cautious. That is not what I asked. It is the answer I am giving. His eyes held hers. Most people softened themselves around him. Jasmine sharpened, not loudly, not rudely, but with a tired courage he could not ignore. Good, he said. She frowned. Why is that good? Because fear makes people foolish. Caution keeps them alive. Jasmine studied him. That sounds like something a dangerous man says when he wants to sound wise. Dae-sik coughed once. Jae-Hyun turned his head slightly. Dae-sik became silent. Jasmine immediately regretted speaking. But Jae-Hyun looked back at her, not angry, interested. You think I am dangerous? I think everyone in this restaurant thinks you are dangerous. And you? Jasmine picked up the empty tray. I think dangerous men do not usually ask if they are dangerous. Then she walked away. Jae-Hyun watched her go. Dae-sik leaned closer. Boss. What? You are smiling. Jae-Hyun's face returned to stone. No, you were. Eat your silence. Yes, boss. But Dae-sik had seen it. So had Jasmine. And that was the problem. Because each time Jae-Hyun Park looked at her like that, Jasmine felt a door opening somewhere she had spent years keeping locked. A door marked hope, and hope, she knew, could be crueler than mockery when it left. The only woman Jae-Hyun Park was willing to burn soul to protect. Jasmine carried the soybean stew to Jae-Hyun's table with both hands. The bowl was hot, steam curled upward, soft and white between them. She placed it down carefully. Soybean stew, rice, side dishes, and tea. Jae-Hyun looked at the food, then at her. "Thank you, you're welcome." She turned to leave. Jasmine, her name stopped her before she could pretend it did not. She looked back. "Yes? Your hand." She glanced at the bandage around her thumb. "It's fine. You changed the dressing?" "Yes." "When this morning?" "Properly." She stared at him. "Do you interrogate everyone who serves you soup?" "No." "Then I feel honored." Dae-sik lowered his head. Jae-Hyun's eyes stayed on her face. "I am asking because I saw blood on your hand last night, and I am answering because I need my job today." He understood the warning beneath her soft voice. "Do not make this scene about me. Do not make people stare again. Do not rescue me so loudly that I become another problem." Jae-Hyun leaned back. "I understand." Jasmine did not know why that answer made her relax a little. She nodded once and walked away. For the next hour, he ate slowly, too slowly. Jasmine noticed. Of course she noticed. He was not there for the food. He barely touched his phone. He did not take calls. He did not speak to his men unless Dae-sik leaned close and whispered something in his ear. He simply sat near the window and watched the small restaurant move around him. Not like a bored rich man. Not like a customer looking for something to criticize. He watched like a man studying a life he had never been allowed to enter. Mrs. Kim came out of the kitchen and placed extra side dishes on his table. "Chairman Park, please enjoy." Jae-Hyun gave a polite nod. Mrs. Kim hesitated. Then she looked toward Jasmine, who was cleaning table 2. "Chairman Park, yes? Jasmine is a good girl." Jae-Hyun looked at her. Mrs. Kim's hands tightened around the empty tray. "She works hard. She does not complain. She takes care of her grandmother. But she has had enough trouble in her life." Jasmine heard her name and looked over. "Mrs. Kim." The older woman ignored her. Jae-Hyun placed his chopsticks down. "I know." Mrs. Kim's eyes narrowed. "No, you know information. That is not the same as knowing pain." The restaurant went silent again. Jasmine closed her eyes. Wonderful. Now her boss was scolding a mafia boss over fermented soybean stew. Dae-sik stepped forward slightly. Jae-Hyun lifted one finger. Dae-sik stopped. Jae-Hyun looked at Mrs. Kim with unexpected respect. "You are right." Mrs. Kim blinked. Jasmine blinked. Even the cook in the kitchen leaned toward the doorway. Jae-Hyun continued. "I do not know her pain, but I know the people who caused some of it." Mrs. Kim's expression hardened. "Then leave her better than you found her." Jae-Hyun did not answer immediately. His eyes shifted to Jasmine. She was staring at him now, caught between embarrassment and something else. Something softer. Something afraid. Finally, he said, "That is my intention." Jasmine's heart moved in a way she did not approve of. She quickly looked away. Intentions were beautiful until consequences arrived. By 3 in the afternoon, the lunch rush had ended. The restaurant's almost empty. Jasmine stood behind the counter, writing totals into a small notebook, while Mrs. Kim counted cash from the register. Jae-Hyun was still there. His bowl was empty. His tea was cold. His bodyguards had not moved. Finally, Jasmine walked to his table. "Chairman Park." "Jae-Hyun." She sighed. "Jae-Hyun." The sound of his name in her voice made his gaze sharpen. She noticed and immediately regretted giving in. "You finished eating almost an hour ago," she said. "Yes. Are you waiting for something? Yes? What?" "For you to ask why I am still here." She stared at him. "You are impossible. I have been called. Worse, I believe that." A faint curve touched his mouth. Then his phone rang. He looked at the screen. His expression changed so quickly that Jasmine almost missed it. "Almost," he answered. "Yes." A woman's voice came through, cold and elegant. "You canceled 2 meetings and ignored 3 calls." Jae-Hyun's jaw tightened. "I was eating. For 4 hours?" Jasmine looked away. She should not listen. But the restaurant was too quiet. The woman continued. "Do not insult me. I know where you are." Jae-Hyun said nothing. "Leave that place," the woman said. "Now." Jasmine's hand tightened around the edge of the table. The woman's voice became sharper. "You embarrassed the Yoon family last night." Now you are sitting in a cheap restaurant because of that waitress? The word landed, that waitress. Not Jasmine, not a woman, not a person. Jae-Hyun stood slowly. The restaurant temperature seemed to fall. Do not speak about her like that. Silence. Even through the phone, Jasmine felt the shock. The woman whispered, "What did you say?" Jae-Hyun looked at Jasmine. His voice lowered. "I said, do not speak about her like that." Then he ended the call. No goodbye, no apology, just silence. Jasmine stared at him. "You should not have done that." "Done what?" "Defended me to your mother. You knew it was my mother?" "You looked like a son being scolded and a king preparing for war." Dae-sik turned his face toward the window. Jae-Hyun looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "You see too much. No, people just assume I don't because I'm quiet." That answer stayed in the air. Jae-Hyun's voice softened by 1 degree. "Who taught you to be quiet?" The question touched somewhere too deep. Jasmine looked down at the table. The world. Before Jae-Hyun could respond, the restaurant door opened. A young delivery boy entered with a brown envelope. "Jasmine Carter?" Jasmine turned. "Yes?" He handed it to her. "This was left for you." "By who?" He shrugged. "I don't know. A woman outside." Then he left. Jasmine stared at the envelope. Her name was written across the front. No return address, no hospital logo, no agency stamp, just Jasmine Carter. Something cold moved down her spine. Jae-Hyun noticed. "What is it?" "I don't know." She opened it. Inside was a folded photograph. For a moment, her mind refused to understand what she was looking at. Then the air left her lungs. It was a photo of her grandmother, Evelyn Carter, sitting near the hospital window in her gown, taken from outside the room. Beneath the photo, someone had written one sentence in red ink. "Stay away from Chairman Park, or the old woman pays first." Jasmine's hands began to shake. Mrs. Kim rushed over. "Jasmine?" Jae-Hyun took one step toward her. "What happened?" Jasmine tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her voice, the same voice that had stopped him in a ballroom, disappeared completely. Jae-Hyun gently took the photograph from her hand. He read the message once. Only once, that was enough. His face changed. Not anger, not shock. Something worse, stillness. The kind that came before violence. Dae-sik moved closer. Jae-Hyun handed him the photograph. "Find out who delivered this." "Yes, boss." Jasmine suddenly found her voice. "No." Both men looked at her. She took the photo back from Dae-sik with trembling fingers. "No, I need to go to the hospital." Jae-Hyun reached for his phone. "My car is outside. I'll take a taxi." "No," her eyes flashed. "You do not get to say no to me." The whole restaurant went still. Jae-Hyun stopped. Jasmine's voice trembled, but it did not break. "This is my grandmother, my life, my fear. You do not get to turn it into your command." Jae-Hyun stared at her. Every instinct in him wanted to override her, to lift the phone, to flood the hospital with men, to find Sarah, Chairman Yoon, or whoever sent that threat and make them understand pain in a language they would never forget. But Jasmine was standing in front of him with terror in her eyes, asking for control over the only thing she had left. So he forced himself to lower the phone. "What do you want?" he asked. Jasmine's breath shook. "I want to get to the hospital. I can take you." I said no. "Then Dae-sik can drive." "I will not come." That surprised her. "You won't? If that is what you want. What about your men?" "2 cars behind, far enough that you do not see them." She almost laughed. "That is not normal." "No, at least you know. I know many things about myself that are not good." The honesty cut through some of her panic. Only a little, but enough. Jasmine looked at Mrs. Kim. "I have to go." "Go," Mrs. Kim said immediately. "Call me when you get there." Jasmine nodded. She grabbed her coat and hurried outside. Dae-sik opened the back door of the SUV. Jae-Hyun remained by the restaurant entrance, hands at his sides, watching her. He did not follow. He did not push. He only said, "Jasmine." She turned. His voice was low. "I will find who did this." Her eyes filled. "Don't find them for revenge." He held her gaze. "Then for what?" "For safety." For a moment they stood in silence. Then Jae-Hyun nodded. "For safety." Jasmine got into the car. As the SUV pulled away, Jae-Hyun numb stood on the sidewalk and watched until it disappeared around the corner. Then his expression emptied. Dae-sik's second in command, Min-kyu, stepped beside him. "Boss." Jae-Hyun looked at the street. "Bring me the hotel security logs from last night." "Yes, boss." "And Yoon Sara's movements." "Yes." "And whoever took that hospital photo." Min-kyu bowed. "What should we do when we find them?" Jae-Hyun's eyes turned colder than winter. Keep them breathing until I arrive. At the hospital, Jasmine ran through the lobby so fast the receptionist stood up. Miss Carter? My grandmother, Evelyn Carter. Is she okay? The receptionist looked confused. She is in her room. The doctor saw her 20 minutes ago. Jasmine did not wait. She took the elevator to the fourth floor, pressing the button 3 times, as if that could make it move faster. When the doors opened, she hurried down the corridor. Room 418. The door was slightly open. Jasmine pushed it in. Evelyn Carter looked up from her bed. Baby? Jasmine rushed to her and wrapped both arms around her carefully. Evelyn froze. Then her hand moved slowly to Jasmine's back. What happened? Jasmine tried to answer. Instead she cried. Not softly, not beautifully, she broke. Evelyn held her as much as her weak body allowed. Jasmine Denise Carter breathed. Jasmine shook her head. They took a picture of you. Evelyn's eyes sharpened. Who? I don't know. Someone sent it to the restaurant. They said if I don't stay away from him, you'll pay first. Evelyn closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked very old. Then she opened them again. Where is he? He didn't come. I told him not to. Good. Jasmine looked at her grandmother through tears. Good? Yes. It means he listened. Jasmine sat down beside the bed, wiping her face. I don't know what to do. Evelyn took her hand. Do you like him? Jasmine almost laughed. Grandma, someone threatened your life. And that is your question. That is exactly why it is my question. I don't know him. That is not what I asked. Jasmine looked down. She thought of the ballroom, his handkerchief, the car ride, the way he lowered his phone when she told him not to command her, the way he said, for safety. I don't trust him, she whispered. That is also not what I asked. Jasmine's tears fell again. I don't want to like him. Evelyn squeezed her hand. Oh baby, he is dangerous, yes. He brings trouble, yes. He lives in a world where people send threats to sick old women. Evelyn smiled faintly. I am not that old. Grandma, I know. Jasmine rested her forehead against Evelyn's hand. I'm scared. Evelyn's voice became soft. Then be scared with your eyes open. Fear is not shameful. It is a warning bell, but do not let fear choose your whole life for you. Jasmine looked up. What if choosing him destroys everything? What if running from everything also destroys you? The question stayed. Late that evening, Jae-Hyun arrived at the hospital, not with 6 men, not with noise, only Dae-sik beside him. Jasmine was in the hallway outside Evelyn's room, holding a paper cup of vending machine coffee she had not touched. She stood when she saw him. I said I didn't want you to come. You said you did not want me to follow you. That is close? No, she stared at him. You are impossible. You said that already. I will keep saying it until it changes. It may take years. The word slipped out naturally. Years. Both of them heard it. Both of them went quiet. Jasmine looked away first. Did you find anything? Jae-Hyun's face changed. Yes, her stomach dropped. Who sent it? Not Sarah, directly. Directly, her driver delivered the envelope. But the photograph came from someone inside the hospital. Jasmine gripped the coffee cup. Inside, yes. Who? A temporary orderly. He was paid. By Sarah. Jae-Hyun paused. That pause told her there was more. By her father. Jasmine closed her eyes. Chairman Yoon. The powerful man who had laughed nervously at the gala while pretending his daughter's cruelty was childish. He threatened my grandmother because his daughter was embarrassed. Jae-Hyun's voice went dark. Men like Chairman Yoon do not think humiliation should travel upward. Jasmine opened her eyes. What does that mean? It means people like him believe shame belongs only to people beneath them. The words hit too close. Jasmine turned toward the hospital window. Rain tapped gently against the glass. What did you do to him? Nothing. She looked back. Jae-Hyun, I promised you no revenge. And? I kept it. She searched his face. Tell me the truth. His eyes held hers. I removed the orderly from the hospital. He will not come near your grandmother again. I sent the evidence to the hospital director. I also placed 2 plainclothes guards at both entrances, as we discussed. And Chairman Yoon? Not touched, she exhaled. Thank you. Jae-Hyun stepped closer, but he will not stop. Her relief vanished. Why? Because he thinks restraint is weakness. And is it? Jae-Hyun looked at her. It is when people do not understand why you are restraining yourself. Jasmine's voice lowered. Are you restraining yourself because of me? Yes. That answer came too fast, too direct. Too dangerous. Jasmine looked away. You shouldn't. I know. Then why? Because you asked me to prove something. She remembered. Start there. Do not respond like a mafia boss. Do not prove Syrah right. Her chest tightened. I didn't mean for you to put yourself in danger. I am not in danger. That sounds arrogant. It is experience. Before she could answer, Evelyn's door opened. The old woman stood there in her hospital robe, one hand holding the IV pole. Jasmine gasped. Grandma, what are you doing? Interrupting whatever this is before I die of curiosity. Jasmine hurried to her. You should be in bed, and you should be eating real food, but we are both disappointing each other today. Jae-Hyun bowed deeply. Mrs. Carter. Evelyn looked at him. You came quietly. Yes. You listened to her? Yes. You want my blessing? Jasmine nearly choked. Grandma. Jae-Hyun did not flinch. Not yet. Evelyn's eyebrows rose. Not yet? I have not earned the right to ask. For the first time, Evelyn looked impressed. Jasmine looked between them. No there will be no hum. Evelyn ignored her. You are dangerous, Mr. Park. Yes. My granddaughter has been hurt by ordinary men. Dangerous ones worry me more. They should. Will you hurt her? Jae-Hyun looked at Jasmine. She looked away, but not before he saw the fear in her eyes. I don't know how to be harmless, he said quietly, but I will never be careless with her. Evelyn was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. That is the first honest answer you have given me. Jasmine looked at him. The first honest thing. The same phrase he had used about her voice. Something passed between them. Small, unspoken, but real. 2 days later, the loan agreement was signed. Jasmine insisted on reading every line, twice. Jae-Hyun sat across from her in a private hospital office while an attorney explained the terms. No interest, no deadline pressure. Monthly payments so small Jasmine almost argued that they were insulting. She did argue. This repayment amount is ridiculous. The attorney looked uncomfortable. Jae-Hyun said, It is reasonable. It is not. It is what you can afford. You don't know what I can afford. I know enough. Her eyes narrowed. You said you stopped investigating me. I did. Then how do you know? Because you told me your life when you refused my money. That silenced her. She looked down at the paper. He was right. She had told him. Not with numbers, with exhaustion, with fear, with the way she counted every cost before accepting help. Finally, she signed. Her grandmother's surgery deposit was paid that afternoon. Jasmine stood outside the billing office, holding the receipt. For years, money had been the wall. Now the wall had a door. She should have felt only relief. Instead, she felt afraid, because doors opened both ways. Jae-Hyun stood beside her. No bodyguards in the hallway, no commands, just him. Jasmine looked at the receipt and whispered, I don't know how to accept this without feeling small. Jae-Hyun answered quietly. Then don't accept it as rescue. What should I accept it as? A bridge. She looked at him. A bridge to what? To the day you no longer need anyone's permission to breathe. Her eyes burned. You say things like you planned them. I don't. That is worse. He almost smiled, then his phone rang. He checked the screen. His mother. This time he did not answer. Jasmine noticed. You can take it. No. She'll be angry. She already is. Because of me, his silence answered. Jasmine's face changed. I don't want to be the reason your family fights. My family fought long before you spoke. There it was again. Before you spoke. As if her voice divided his life into before and after. That night, Park Hae-rin came to the hospital herself. She arrived in a cream-colored coat, pearls at her throat, 2 assistants behind her, and a face beautiful enough to hide a blade. Jasmine was sitting alone in the waiting area when Hae-rin stopped in front of her. Jasmine Carter. Jasmine stood. Yes, I am Park Hae-rin. I know. Then you know why I am here. Jasmine's voice stayed calm. You want me to stay away from your son? Hae-rin's eyes sharpened. You are direct. I'm tired. That does not make you suitable. Jasmine flinched, but only inside. Outwardly, she remained still. Hae-rin looked her over, slowly, cruelly. Do you understand what people will say if he continues this? They are already saying it. They will say worse. I have heard worse. They will call you a gold digger. I have been poor long enough to know money is not love. They will call you his weakness. Jasmine's breath caught. Hae-rin noticed. Good. That one reached. The older woman stepped closer. My son lives in a world where weakness gets people killed. If he cares for you, you become a target. If he protects you, His enemies learn where to aim. If he chooses you, you may not survive the honor. Jasmine's hands trembled. Hyrin lowered her voice. So ask yourself, Miss Carter, is your loneliness worth his blood? Is his attention worth your grandmother's grave? The words struck like a slap. Jasmine could not speak. Then a voice behind them said, Enough! Jae-Hyun stood at the end of the hallway. His face was colder than Jasmine had ever seen it. Hyrin turned. You needed to hear it from someone. No, Jae-Hyun said. You needed to hurt her because you cannot control me. His mother's expression hardened. I am trying to save you. You are trying to keep me empty because emptiness is easier to manage. Hyrin's eyes flashed. You think this is love? You heard a pretty voice from a wounded woman and decided she could heal what you refused to face. Jasmine stepped back. That was too close to what she feared. Jae-Hyun looked at Jasmine. For 1 second, pain moved across his face. Because his mother had found the exact wound and pressed, Jasmine whispered, Maybe she's right. Jae-Hyun went still. Hyrin smiled faintly. Jasmine's voice shook. You heard me when I was humiliated. Maybe you don't love me. Maybe you love what saving me makes you feel. The hallway became silent. Jae-Hyun took 1 step toward her. Jasmine, she stepped back. No, I need to think. He stopped immediately. That hurt more than if he had followed. Because he listened, again. Jasmine turned and walked away. She did not cry until she reached the stairwell, and when she did, she covered her mouth so no one would hear. 3 days passed. Evelyn's surgery was successful. That should have been the only thing that mattered. But Jasmine moved through those days like someone underwater. Jae-Hyun did not come to her room. He did not crowd her. He did not demand answers. Every morning, however, a sealed envelope arrived at the nurse's desk. No flowers. No expensive gifts. Just one handwritten note. The first said, She survived the surgery, that is today's miracle. The second said, I am still proving, even from a distance. The third said, Your voice is not the only thing I remember. Jasmine kept all 3. She told herself she kept them, because throwing them away felt rude. Evelyn did not believe her. On the 4th day, Jasmine found Jae-Hyun in the hospital chapel. No bodyguards inside, no phone in his hand. Just him sitting in the back row beneath colored glass. She stopped at the doorway. I didn't think men like you came to places like this. He did not turn. Your grandmother threatened me with prayer. I thought I should understand the weapon. Despite herself, Jasmine smiled, then it faded. She walked in slowly and sat beside him. Not too close, not too far. For a while neither spoke. Then Jasmine said, I was cruel. No, I was afraid. Yes. She made me feel like your love would get everyone killed. Jae-Hyun looked at the altar. She is not completely wrong. Jasmine's heart clenched. He continued. My world is dangerous. My name is dangerous. Being near me will never be simple. Then why are you here? He turned to her. Because for the first time in my life, I want to become the kind of man who can stand beside someone without destroying her. Jasmine's eyes filled. And if you can't, then I walk away before I hurt you. That answer broke something open in her. Because he did not say he would force the world to accept them. He did not say love conquered everything. He said he would leave if staying became harm. Jasmine whispered, I don't want you to walk away. Jae-Hyun's breath changed, small, but she heard it. You don't? No. He looked at her like the whole chapel had gone quiet around her voice. Jasmine continued, but I don't want to disappear inside your protection either. I need to remain myself. You will. You say that like a promise. It is. Jae-Hyun. Yes? Promises from dangerous men scare me. He looked at her hand resting on the bench. He did not touch it. Not until she moved first. Slowly, Jasmine placed her hand over his. His fingers closed around hers, like he had been waiting years to be trusted with something fragile. Outside the chapel, Dae-sik appeared at the door. His face was tense. Jae-Hyun saw it immediately. What happened? Dae-sik looked at Jasmine, then back at him. Chairman Yoon has made his move. Jasmine's stomach turned. What move? Dae-sik hesitated. Jae-Hyun's voice hardened. Say it. Dae-sik lowered his voice. He leaked the hospital payment records. Online articles are already spreading. They are calling Miss Carter your paid mistress. Jasmine's hand slipped from Jae-Hyun's. For a second, she did not understand the words. Then her phone began to buzz. Again and again and again, messages, unknown numbers, social media alerts, photos from the gala. Her face circled in red. Headlines: The obese black waitress who captured Mafia heir's attention. Secret hospital payment exposes relationship. Charity case or lover. Jasmine felt the chapel tilt. Jae-Hyun stood. His face went completely still. Dae-sik looked at him. Boss. Jae-Hyun's voice was quiet. Prepare the car. Jasmine grabbed his sleeve. No revenge. He looked down at her hand, then at her face. She was shaking, not from weakness, from the violence of being exposed to a world that it had never earned the right to know her. Jae-Hyun covered her hand with his. No revenge. His eyes lifted. Public truth. That evening, every major guest from the Grand Seraph Gala received an invitation. Not a request, an instruction. A private charity dinner hosted by Park Holdings. Attendance expected. By 8 o'clock, the same ballroom filled again. The same chandeliers, the same marble floor, the same people who had laughed at Jasmine. But this time, there was no laughter. Because Jae-Hyun Park stood at the front of the room, and beside him stood Jasmine Carter. She wore a simple dark blue dress Mrs. Kim had helped her choose. Her curls framed her face. Her hands shook slightly, but her chin stayed lifted. Whispers moved through the room. That's her, the waitress. Why did he bring her? She should be ashamed. Jasmine heard them. Jae-Hyun heard them too. He leaned toward her. One word, and we leave. Jasmine looked at the crowd. Then at Sira standing beside her father, smiling like she had won. No, Jasmine whispered. I'm tired of leaving rooms where other people should be ashamed. Jae-Hyun's eyes changed, pride, open, unhidden. He stepped to the microphone. The room became silent. Several days ago, he said, a woman was mocked in this ballroom. No one moved. She was mocked for her body, her skin, her job, her poverty, her pain. Sira looked away. Chairman Yoon's jaw tightened. Jae-Hyun continued. Then someone threatened her grandmother. Someone paid a hospital worker to photograph a sick woman in her room. Someone leaked private medical payment records to humiliate Jasmine Carter. Gasps moved through the room. Jae-Hyun lifted a folder. The evidence has already been sent to the police, the hospital board, and every company currently partnered with Yoon Construction. Chairman Yoon went pale. Sira whispered, Father? Jae-Hyun's voice remained calm. I promised Jasmine Carter I would not take revenge. He looked directly at Chairman Yoon, so I chose truth. A screen behind him lit up. Messages. Payments. Security footage. The driver delivering the envelope. The hospital worker receiving money. Chairman Yoon's name attached to the transfer. The room exploded in whispers. Chairman Yoon stepped forward. This is a misunderstanding. Jae-Hyun looked at him. No. A misunderstanding is what happens when honest people fail to communicate. This was cruelty with paperwork. Skra's face crumpled. You ruined us. Jasmine looked at her. For a moment, the room waited. Everyone expected Jae-Hyun to answer. But Jasmine stepped forward instead. Her voice trembled at first, then steadied. No, you ruined yourselves when you decided my dignity was entertainment. Sarah stared at her. Jasmine continued. You laughed when I was bleeding. You called me big, dark, poor, and desperate like those words made me less human. The room was silent. But I am not ashamed of my body. I am not ashamed of my skin. I am not ashamed of working to keep my grandmother alive. And I will not be ashamed because a powerful man saw me when the rest of you chose not to. Jae-Hyun looked at her like he was hearing music. The first honest thing. Still, always, Jasmine turned to the crowd. You do not have to like me. You do not have to understand me. But you will not use my pain as gossip and call it charity. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Mrs. Kim, standing near the back in her best coat, began to clap, slowly, firmly. Evelyn Carter, seated in a wheelchair beside her, clapped too. Then Dae-sik, then one waiter, then another. The applause spread. Not from everyone, but enough. Sira stood frozen, humiliated in the same room where she had once laughed. Chairman Yoon's phone began ringing with calls from partners who had just seen the evidence. His empire was cracking in real time. Jae-Hyun stepped beside Jasmine. He did not take her hand immediately. He waited. In front of everyone, Jasmine reached for him first. Their fingers linked. The room went still again. A reporter near the side called out, Chairman Park, what is Miss Carter to you? Jasmine's heart stopped. Jae-Hyun looked at her, not the reporter, her. May I answer? She swallowed, then nodded. Jae-Hyun turned to the room. She is not my charity. His voice carried clearly. She is not my weakness. He looked at his mother, who stood near the front with unreadable eyes. She is not an accident, a scandal, or a mistake. Then he looked back at Jasmine. She is the woman whose voice reached me when I thought nothing in this world could. And if she allows me, she is the woman I will spend my life proving myself worthy of. Jasmine's eyes filled, the ballroom blurred. For once, no one's laughter touched her. No one's whisper owned her. She was standing, seen, chosen but not bought, protected but not silenced, loved but still herself. Evelyn wiped her eyes and whispered to Mrs. Kim, "I told her he was trouble." Mrs. Kim whispered back, "Good trouble." Evelyn smiled, "We will see." 3 months later, Jasmine returned to Kim's table for the lunch shift. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. Evelyn was recovering slowly. The hospital debt was being repaid exactly according to the agreement Jasmine had signed. Yoon Construction was under investigation. Si-Ra had disappeared from public events, and Jae-Hyun Park had learned, painfully and imperfectly, that protection without permission was just another kind of control. He still sent a car sometimes. Jasmine still refused it sometimes. He still asked too many questions. She still told him when he sounded like a dictator in a designer suit. And every time she said his name, he still went quiet. One evening after closing, Jasmine found him waiting outside the restaurant. No convoy, no crowd, just one black car parked beneath a streetlight. She stepped outside with a bag of leftover soup. You know, for a feared mafia boss, you spend a lot of time waiting outside restaurants. Jae-Hyun took the bag from her hand. For a woman who claims she does not need help, you let me carry soup, it's hot, so am I useful. Occasionally, he almost smiled. They walked slowly down the street. No cameras, no ballroom, no broken glass, just night air and the quiet sound of soul around them. Jae-Hyun looked at her. "Jasmine, yes, say it again." She knew what he meant. She always knew now. She stopped walking and faced him. Jae-Hyun Park. His eyes softened. There, beneath the danger and discipline and darkness, was the man she had first heard in the silence after cruelty. Not healed, not harmless, but trying. She touched his face gently. "You are still strange," his hand covered hers. "You are still honest, and you are still trouble." "Yes," she smiled. "My trouble." For the first time, Jae-Hyun Park smiled fully. Not for the cameras, not for power, not for victory, for her. And Jasmine Carter, the waitress everyone once mocked, finally understood something her grandmother had tried to teach her for years. Soft did not mean weak. Kind did not mean invisible. And taking up space was not something she needed to apologize for. The world had laughed when she fell to her knees, but her voice had risen from that floor. And the most dangerous man in Seoul had heard it. Not because she was perfect, not because she was polished, but because she was real. And sometimes the voice the world tries hardest to silence becomes the one voice powerful enough to change everything.